There we go. All right. So welcome everybody. You're no longer waiting, right? We're now actually doing this. So what you're going to hear today, if you read the announcement and signed up, you probably know most of it, but we're going to talk about outcome-based roadmaps and a better way to do roadmaps, if you will, where we ditch the dates and we deliver a lot more value in doing so. Ryan will do most of the presentation. I'll just be sort of his sidekick here, so I may chime in occasionally. But Ryan's done the heavy work on this one. So two of us are here. I'll introduce myself. Ryan, you can introduce yourself.
Sure.
I am Kenny Kranseler. I am a principal consultant and trainer for 280 Group, have been for the last 5 or so years. Training and consulting on product all over the world. Spent my lifetime as a product manager, product leader, product director, VP of product, chief product officer at a variety of places. I am located in Seattle, so I've worked for all the big tech companies in the Seattle area, including Amazon and Microsoft, as well as a whole bunch of startups. So that's my background. Ryan, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, well, my background isn't quite as colorful as Kenny's. I am Ryan Cantwell. Kenny, and I have a correction to make. He said he's a member of the 280 group. We are
Oh, sorry,
Productside.
Productside.
So we are formerly the 280 group, and I am also a consultant and trainer like Kenny, working for the 280 group. I'm in
You
Pittsburgh.
said it that time, Ryan.
I did I? Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, it's like the
See?
Freudian slips just keep happening. All right. So I'm in Pittsburgh. I also bring with me to all of you about 20 years of professional experience, 15 of which are in the product management space, whether that's acting as a product manager, leading product teams across all kinds of portfolios. Um, and we are here and excited to talk to you about outcome-based roadmaps.
Great. So a couple of things. First, a little bit on Productside, who we are, what we do. We do training, we do consulting focused on product management. Part of our mission and our objective and why clients come to us is we're not just about training. We really are about transforming companies to move to be product-led, to implement things like you'll hear today about becoming an outcome-driven companies, if you will. And inevitably, in many instances, that leads to training where we don't just have standard out-of-the-box training, though we do have a lot of standard topics we teach on. We understand the context of the clients that we're working with and truly take our training to the next level by understanding the environment at which a specific client is working in. And it's the work we do is folks like Ryan and I that have a wealth of experience in product management and are passionate about moving the profession forward. So you get sort of wonderful consultants and trainers that work in the context of the environment that you're working on. They truly try to transform wherever we're working to have the best of breed product managers working in the best of breed environments to move your initiatives forward. So that's who we are. I think I noticed and noted at the beginning, there's a little Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom. Please feel free to use it at any time during the presentation today on the webinar. If it makes sense, I will interrupt whatever Ryan is saying at a specific point in time to ask the relevant question at the appropriate time. You can also use the chat function, just if something you like or don't like around that, you can throw it into the chat, or if you can't hear somebody very well, you can throw that into the chat. Also, the first question that I know people will ask is, will the slides and recordings be available? And the answer to that is yes. We are currently recording, so if you are speaking, or if I'm speaking, or if Ryan's speaking, it's going to get recorded as part of the recording for the webinar, which we will share with everybody that attends the webinar and those people are signed up. So you will get that, and the slides that will come with that, we'll send out a link to that after the webinar's ended. The other way to make sure that you get access to both this as well as future webinars is to connect with us on LinkedIn. There's an address here and a QR code that you can snap on and make sure that you're connected to the LinkedIn group of Productside, where we tend to put notifications of best practices, where we'll do blogs and other webinars like we have here. You'll be able to participate and join in our discussion of how we all work together to make product managers more effective and the whole profession of product management more effective.
So I couldn't be more happy to talk about roadmaps today. I've been doing a lot of thinking about the topic, and it's one of those concepts in product that we're all aware of. We all do it, but I think there are some things we can look at to how it's been done and how we could do it to improve the way we approach roadmaps. Hopefully giving us ways to better communicate and align our organizations and deliver value to customers is what we want to do. So as we look ahead, we've got three distinct sections that we've got here. We're going to start with looking backwards a little bit, looking at the problems that we've seen in the past with some roadmaps. We're going to look at kind of the modern philosophy towards an outcome-based roadmap. And then how do we connect this thing called a roadmap to another important tool in the toolbox that we're going to learn about when we get there? So let's just dig in. Let's recognize that roadmaps aren't a perfect thing. And I want to give you all, as we walk away, to see how and where these roadmaps might fall short of maybe delivering the value you need it to use for you. And we're going to start to see where things fall apart. And I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to give you all a very real experience. This gives me a little bit of PTSD, Kenny.
I have some too.
Yeah. So imagine this, everybody. This happened to me. The phone rings. It's the VP of sales. They ask me to present the 5-year roadmap at their upcoming annual sales meeting. And they need it, according to them, to show clients. Something that lays out every release, every feature for the next 20 quarters. They need it. So I start to panic. Like, I'm predicting 5 years ahead in product man, like trying to do that. That's like predicting the weather for 5 years. How am I supposed to do this? It's impossible. But instead of voicing that, I was a little more polite and I asked, tell me, what exactly do you need to see from the roadmap? And it turns out my intrepid colleague in sales wasn't just asking for my ideas. They wanted actual, hard, locked-in dates and releases mapped out for 5 years. It's like a Netflix binge watch of the future. No spoilers. Like, just do it all. So this is when I realized that sales was addicted to deadlines. They were expecting crystal clear, time-stamped roadmaps. And product development doesn't necessarily work that way. I can't predict what I'm going to learn next because learning is the key to selecting the right things to do, right? And I had to think, so I was stuck. Like, oh my gosh, where do I go from here? How do I make guesses about the next 5 years and add disclaimers about how little confidence I had in their ability they might come true? And that's kind of how I did it. I knew there had to be a better way. Kenny, I don't know if you have thoughts on this topic.
Yeah, I do. I had a similar problem. I had started, yes, you were in a dilemma, and hopefully the next 30 minutes will solve it. I was in a similar dilemma. I had just started. I became sort of the first product manager at a company I was working for. It was a small startup. We weren't that powerful yet, but we worked with some pretty powerful clients. Most of the auto manufacturers were sort of our customers.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked them how did they do roadmaps to date? And when I went to the first sort of roadmap discussion meeting at the company, it sounded like a sort of a client bidding war. Is we had a whole bunch of features that the salespeople brought from our big OEM customers, and it was sort of a bidding for dollars kind of thing. Is who had the biggest opportunity that needed the most things done in order for that opportunity to sell, and that was going to be our roadmap. I figured that probably wasn't the best idea. And there's probably a better way that we could figure out of all those wonderful activities that these OEMs wanted, how do we actually do it rather than cash for the next sale that needed to be closed?
Right. So I think looking ahead, we've all probably felt something like this before. I'd be curious if you've got one of these, like give us a reaction in chat. I'd love to see it. But I think we can't keep talking about roadmaps, Kenny, if we don't address what it is. Let's define it. Let's call it a name. And that a roadmap, what I call it, is a definition of your strategy. It's a visual articulation of product strategy on paper. And that strategy guides product direction based on the outcomes that we want to achieve, the results that we're trying to deliver. Just perhaps not a schedule of releases. Because roadmaps are meant to be, most of all, a tool that creates conversation between our stakeholders. We want to invite them into that conversation so we're all marching in the same direction. And a really good roadmap is prioritizing the things, the results, and impacts we want to achieve, not just the features to build. And ideally, they kind of tell a story by connecting the value we deliver to our customers through to our product. So like we've got products in the world, we're delivering value through to the business goals and objectives that we as a business want to achieve. There's a very clear line there. Deliver value to them, returned as value to the business.
So Ryan, are roadmaps just for our customers, or do we need them for ourselves too?
Oh my gosh, we need them for ourselves and our stakeholders, clearly. So we use them for ourselves to organize and prioritize the outcomes we want to achieve. And we're going to see how those strategic links all connect as we keep going, Kenny.
Right, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, so there's a few common mistakes that I see in the world of roadmaps, and I want to highlight just a few. But as we create them, I think the number one thing I want to call attention to is focusing too much on outputs and deadlines, as the title of our webinar implies. Because Kenny, this might be controversial. I think most roadmaps out there in the world are not roadmaps at all. There's something else entirely.
I think you're right.
Yeah, we're gonna learn what those things are next. Because roadmaps today might exist as glorified feature timelines. And we get pressure from stakeholders to include everything on there. And then frequent changes based upon the feedback we get, it's very reactive. Whether the competition releases something new, whether we have a complaint and we need to address it, whether we have, in like Kenny, your example, the big sale that needs to be closed,
That one.
like those sort of things. And sometimes these result in unrealistic deadlines and commitments, causing us stress and pressure, and even a failure to meet our strategic goals because we're allowing other things to dictate our roadmap and not what the things we as product people should care about in the first place. So I've kind of danced around the topic. Let's cut to the chase. So what are we doing if we're not doing roadmaps? I think we're building release plans instead of roadmaps. So I want to clarify the difference between these two things quickly, Kenny. I'm interested in your thoughts as well and what you see. Because developing a roadmap, but it's actually a release plan, and calling it a roadmap can cause confusion. A roadmap, in my mind, should focus on outcomes, the larger strategic objectives that are available to us, whether it's a product outcome on how we create value for the customer or a business outcome, what we need to deliver on as a goal for the business. So our roadmap looks at these things. It's, like I said, a visual expression of our product strategy. A release plan's a little bit different. It focuses on the outputs, the features or increments, the things we build and release that are project bound. They have a deadline. They have the things we are going to do to create those outcomes that we're trying to deliver on our roadmap. So the analogy I like to use here is the roadmap becomes your compass. It's showing you the direction. And the release plan is like your calendar. It's showing you when you should do things and that sort of stuff. So what do you think, Kenny?
I think you're right. I think most people call a release plan a roadmap today, and they trumpet it out there, and probably don't. So, is there a problem with that, Ryan? Why shouldn't we do that?
Well, okay. So that's a good question. And I think the next slide is going to address this, the consequences of output focus. So there is a negative impact for focusing only on the outputs. If we do that, if we say, hey, this is our strategy, but it's actually on our roadmap, but it's a release plan, our strategy, we over-index on outputs. We start to put more or too much value on when's it going to be ready? How much of something have we delivered? And that's how we're defining success. But that's not really success. It's the impact that those things have in the end on the various aspects of our customers and our business that really matter most. So output focused roadmaps or release plans cause teams to lose sight of why we are building what we build, most fundamentally. And it also could result in too much. We fall into the feature factory trap of building, 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 and may lose sight of other things like customer satisfaction or some higher level business goals that we need to achieve because we're so focused on delivering. And we then even find disconnects at times with the bigger picture. What about the strategic vision of the business? Are we maintaining that connection? And the output focused roadmap or release plan doesn't necessarily tell us that.
So do you think, Ryan, in most of those instances, we don't actually have a roadmap?
In most of those instances, I don't think we do. I think it's something different, unfortunately. So we've heard kind of the story as it goes. But Kenny, I think there's got to be a better way, right?
There's got to be some way. We got to solve the dilemmas that both you and I had when we walked into those organizations and didn't know what to do.
I know. So as we've established, traditional roadmaps lead to perhaps misaligned product strategies, lost focus, and maybe underwhelming performance. So how do we shift from this output focus to the outcome focus? And that's what we're going to learn next. We're going to introduce the outcome-based roadmap and see how we can kind of break that connection and do it right. But we have a poll before we start. I want to hear from all of you. So you'll see the poll pop up in your screen. If you don't mind, please do answer. And we want to know what frustrates you most about your current roadmap activities. Maybe you're being pressured to be a fortune teller, playing priority whack-a-mole, herding cats while wearing roller skates, building the Death Star with no blueprint, or steering the Titanic away from the iceberg. All right, we got results coming in fast and furious, Kenny.
Yeah, coming in. Good,
Yeah.
Good job. We'll give a couple folks another few seconds to click on a button. Looks like we've got a good spread of things, though.
I know, this is interesting.
We'll give him another second or two.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like we got a lot of people building a Death Star.
I know, that's the popular choice.
It is. People do tend to focus on futures, but we're not, missing some of the. We're still getting a lot of support from our cat herders and our whack-a-molers and our fortune tellers.
Yep.
But it seems should we share? Is there a way to share the poll results?
Yes, we can.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, so we got about a third of the folks that are building that Death Star without a blueprint, focusing a lot on turning into the feature factories that we want. But we've got sort of even support beyond that across the first three about herding cats and whack-a-moles who shifting focus and direction and the fortune teller that you had to be for 5 years.
That's right. Yeah, but it's interesting to me too that nobody selected difficulty adapting to new information or challenges because the world's always changing around us, and maybe it's just something we've become used to. But I would run and bump up against that sometimes in my practice of product.
It's probably something we want to share and get people at least alert to it, to think about how do we incorporate new learning into our roadmaps.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
All right, fantastic. So let's now talk about the outcome-based roadmap. What is it? How can it help us? And thank you, Kyle. Herding cats while wearing roller skates is too on point. I'm giving you PTSD. I love that. So let's talk about the outcome-based roadmap, everybody. So let's uncover how this shift in thinking about our roadmap can help us break that feature habit or the output habit, and even look at a way that we can separate ourselves from the dates a little bit too. So we're going to look at kind of a new way of doing it. So now, First, I'd want to express the differences between an outcome-based roadmap and a release plan, or what we've known as a roadmap. And focusing on outcomes is the main point. Outcomes are the measurable business and customer results we want to achieve. We want to find ways to deliver these things and express them on our roadmap. And that moves us away from the constraint, perhaps, of deadlines and features, because they're like a more of a North Star than a hard thing we say, we will do it by this day. They act as that compass, remember. It's giving us flexibility and even strategic focus now, because now we have the ability to adapt to change. Because when things change around us, we might lose sight of those long-term goals if we don't make those adaptations. But I think most of all, an outcome-based roadmap will accelerate your progress to increase the ability to perform as a product professional. Like, you will add more value to your organizations if you first focus on impact. Look for ways to express the results or impacts you are trying to achieve. If you can express those, your roadmap's going to help you do that. And people are going to understand the value you bring to the organization better as a result. And because a roadmap is so closely linked to strategy, it's important that our stakeholders are aligned with that strategy, because we need them. We have to have them to help us deliver on it. And our roadmap will help ensure that they are familiar with and aware of the strategy we're setting out and how they can best support it. So great. So we've also are changing the conversation. We want to stop judging success on what we deliver and start measuring true achievement. So it's not what will we build, it's what will we achieve. That's the right conversation to have. And most of all, it's helping us keep the customer in focus. There's a lot of things we do that we know they're there, but we want to keep them in focus, because customers don't care if we release 100 new features this quarter. They only care if those features have value to them. And outcomes are going to tell us, are we giving them value or not?
So Ryan, that probably means we need to understand what the heck customers want to achieve, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We got to do some discovery and understand. So that's a whole nother webinar, Kenny, but we got to know. We need to know who that user is very clearly, so we can define this thing called a product outcome. So let's take a look at that. And I saw a question earlier, Kenny. This is actually part 2 of a 3-part series. And part 1 dug deeper into what a business outcome and a product outcome is. I'm going to give it a high-level definition, but if you're interested in learning more, please go find that. Anybody, even if you didn't register it,
it's in your chat too, a link to that webinar. So.
Wow, fantastic.
We
Thank you.
Got it set.
Yes. So you can go check it out. I'd encourage everybody to give it a look. It's a great webinar with Kenny and I's colleague, Tom, who's wonderful at this stuff. So let's look at where roadmaps are born. Like, what is roadmap food, in other words? And I think it all starts with strategy. We've got to know, what's the business strategy? What's the product strategy? And how do we connect those two things? So a business outcome from a very high level are the strategic goals our business wants to achieve. They might sound things like increase revenue or improve customer retention or expand market share, things like that. Like things, because business is in the name. It's what the business wants. Product outcomes, there's a little more nuance to it, but it's incredibly important for us product people. And they are the specific, measurable things that our customers want to achieve. It is the result and impact. It's all about them. Maybe it's time saving, cost saving, improved efficiency. Let me do more of this thing. All those questions that, from the customer's perspective, they're trying to do themselves, that our product enables. Not what your product does, but enables, is what's important. That's a product outcome. So Kenny, any thoughts there on a product outcome?
Is there a connection between those two things, Ryan?
Yeah, there better be. So we're going to see how they connect next on our roadmap. So we need to connect our product outcomes to business outcomes, because get this, if we understand the business strategy and product or business outcomes first, We need to understand those because we align to them. We don't want to go in a different direction. We need to align. That helps us then identify what should our strategy be, what should the product outcomes be that will move the needle towards the business outcomes. And that's what a roadmap is all about. We're trying to draw that connection to make it very clear for people. So we have opportunity here to do this. Let's take a look. We want to connect product outcomes to business outcomes. That's where the rubber meets the road in our outcome-based roadmap. And as we look at these things, we find a business outcome that we feel like we can have influence over, or a high level of influence over, through our product strategy. And that becomes a top priority business outcome for us. We're setting that priority and saying, there's our anchor. That's it. Once we establish that, I'm going to get my little laser pointer out. There we go. Up at the top here, we can start, because now we as product professionals are responsible for our product outcomes. We find them, we define them, we refine them as time goes on. All the time we're doing this. And we start to prioritize those product outcomes in a manner that communicates to our stakeholders, this is what we should work on first. So we pick the product outcomes that we have the highest level of confidence in, and we can organize them in this now, next, later format. So I have to give honorable mention here to friend of Productside, Gianna Bastow of ProdPad, who came up with the now, next, later roadmap technique. And the now items, think about them as the things you are going to do immediately, because you have the highest level of confidence that they are the right things to do. The items in the next column are the product outcomes that might need a little bit more validation or discovery before you're committing to action. But you've got just a short road to travel before you know you can move the next to now. And then the later opportunities are for the future. Ideas that need further exploration or validation. Consider it that way. So Kenny, have you used the now, next, later before?
I have. It was a new way to help my both my internal and my external stakeholders start to think of things as I started to bucket what I needed my customers to achieve, the outcomes I wanted to have for my customers in sort of this framework, both based on what the available technology was, what some of the objectives and aims of my customers were, and what I confidently thought we could deliver, and what was fleshed out in terms of how we understood some of those outcomes and where they needed to come together.
Mm-hmm. There we go. And you might be thinking as you look at that, like, what on earth? Where are the dates? What happened? So this framework of positioning things as outcomes and in a now, next, later format gives us kind of an outlet to express our strategy without a hard date associated with it, because it gives clarity without the pressure of needing a hard deadline. We know what we're trying to achieve, not what we will deliver to achieve it. And that gives our stakeholders the appropriate visibility into what is happening now, what's coming, what's going to come next, or what's going to keep coming to provide the appropriate value and impact that we want to have. And for example, like a product team might focus on a feature that improves like user onboarding in the now to achieve a product outcome. And they might explore ways to enhance customer loyalty in next to achieve that product outcome. And might be looking into the future to say, if we want to ensure continued value delivery to our users, we might be looking at something like new features or other things that come in the later. But setting expectations based upon delivering outcomes, not outputs, is the magic behind the outcome-based roadmap. So consider it as now, next, and later. I like to think about it in terms of confidence, Kenny. Like, how much evidence or data do I have to say, like, these are the right things to do? I'm not making guesses or placing bets. I'm using data to inform my decisions about which one of those product outcomes come first, as the now, or should come next, or should come later.
So Ryan, what happens if either customers or internal stakeholders start asking for dates and requiring dates? What do we do with those folks?
Oh boy, yeah, that's the $1 million question. What should we do if our stakeholders come and start asking us for dates? Like, what the heck? Where's the dates? And I think That's what we can talk about in our third section of how we bring all of it together. So, Kenny, before I address that, I think it's the right question, and we're going to
Yeah.
get there. I want to just talk quickly about we all see what value an outcome-based roadmap can give to us. It's the key benefits here are better strategic alignment, ensuring that all efforts are aligned with the broader business goals, right? We've got a business outcome and we've got our product outcomes. Our efforts are connected to success in the business. Great stuff. It's giving us a little more flexibility now because rather than in my scenario where I said, okay, I'm going to build this 5 years from now, I need more flexibility. I got to be able to change based upon what I'm learning. And we're finding ways to not be tied down by those rigid deadlines with this one. And we can focus on value. Keep the teams focused on delivering and achieving. And that will make sure our objectives are achieved in the end. So it also is giving us a way to make prioritization decisions, even for our outputs, in fact. It's giving us a framework to make better decisions, and it's helping our stakeholders do the same thing. Because you know what they understand now, Kenny?
Yeah.
Why? Why are we doing it? So we see the why. It's not just what we're doing, it's why we're doing it, which is really good.
Like, yeah, we need to understand our own priorities and our priorities from our customer perspective in order to actually build the right things at the right time for the right folks.
Yeah. All right, so we've got our next poll. So Kim, why don't you go ahead and spin it up? So I want to know what surprised you most about an outcome-based roadmap. So now that we know what they are, what do we think?
Give a couple more minutes for folks to put in their responses, but it looks like response 4 and 5 are getting a ton of support over here.
Yeah. I like that.
So it sounds like, yeah, 4 and 5 are getting the most support here. We can probably share the results out there, but it looks like people want to understand how do we provide direction without dates, and that we're not necessarily communicating what to build yet in our roadmaps.
Yeah, it's pretty close. That one's cut by this, but
Yeah,
it's like
it's about those two are the key ones.
the
Less
photo
support for the
finish.
first
Yeah.
three about so people want us to help prove to them how do we provide direction without dates, and give a sense for both our customers and our internal stakeholders about what we're building, rather than
Exactly.
just what impact we're trying to have.
Right. All right. So now we can't keep the conversation going, Kenny, without talking about outputs too. We got to bring them back.
Kind of get there, right?
We need them. We
Seems
can't
like
do
that's
it
what they're
without
crying
them.
for, right?
That's right. We can't do it without them. So everybody, I want to introduce roadmap, meet release plan. It's like peanut butter and jelly. They go together perfectly. So now we've got these two tools. We recognize the difference and we can see how they're going to work together to become a super artifact. Like it's going to be the thing that's going to help you do all kinds of stuff. So the roadmap, as we've established, guides why we're building what we build, the outcomes. The release plan tells us how and when, what we'll build and when we're going to build it. So together, they are ensuring alignment between long-term strategy, short-term execution. And it's kind of like this. If the roadmap is our strategy, the release plan is our tactical playbook. So the thing like we can start executing on now. Roadmaps, outcome focused, long-term, release plan, short-term, output focused. And a roadmap tells you what to achieve. The release plan tells you how to achieve it. That's the primary connection. So let's see how visually this comes together. So here we go. We've got our roadmap. We've established our business outcomes. We've established our product outcomes, and now next and later. Our release plan has a very direct correlation to the roadmap. So now we can put things together to identify the features or increments or initiatives, whatever we want to call it, the outputs, or tasks that will directly contribute to your prioritized outcomes in the roadmap. And by organizing your backlog based on which outputs will most effectively drive the roadmap's outcomes, think about how much easier your output prioritization decisions get at that point. Now you see which ones connect. I know what to do first as a result of that. And it's giving us a better way to align development timelines as well. We can use now, next, later in the same context with our outputs. This framework further guides what features should be worked on based upon the confidence that we have that they are the right things to do. What do you think, Kenny?
I think you're right. I mean, one of the challenges is people put out what they call a roadmap, which is really a release plan for 5 years from now. And in reality, customers shouldn't believe it because you have no idea what you're going to be what you're actually going to be working on from an output basis 5 years from now.
Yep.
Think back 5 years ago. Would you have done the things you're doing today 5 years ago?
Oh my
Remember,
gosh.
that was before AI was even, a crystal in most people's mind. And remember, the pandemic hadn't even happened back then. So
Right.
would you have had that crystal ball to decide what your development team should be working on now 5 years ago?
Yeah, yeah. I'm seeing things both in chat and in question. I have one I wanted to address quickly. If you have not validated or done discovery on an outcome in the next phase, can you really do a release plan? Ah, so Greg, just wait. I have the
You
thing
get
for
there.
you. So get ready. Um, so there's a lot to consider here, but first, let's just say, as we're drawing this connection, look out. There are traps everywhere. So let's make sure that as we try to draw this connection between our release plan and our roadmap, that we're treating the release plan, or that I should say that we don't treat the release plan as fixed rather than adaptable. It needs to be flexible, and a roadmap shouldn't be adjusted to the release plan. It should be the other way around. The release plan should be adjusted to the roadmap. Don't try not to make that mistake. But prioritizing features based upon deadlines, like we want to deliver it. Kenny, I got to tell you, we had a trade show at like the annual trade show, and the organization, it was always have it done by the trade show. Like,
Of course.
oh my gosh. But prioritizing features or projects based upon a hard date rather than the impact that we intended to have can be a mistake. But another thing is not using it. A roadmap is a tool. It's both a tool for us and our stakeholders. So make sure you use it. I had a colleague, Kenny, who carried the roadmap around with him everywhere. And if somebody brought something up, like, can we do this? Can we do this project? Out his roadmap would come, slap on the table and say, okay, what comes off the roadmap to do your thing? And it was a great conversation starter. So you must share it to be effective. So please do, because your strategy needs to be shared. But also failing to continuously update it, because this is a living thing. We got to make sure it stays alive. And
Our roadmap or our release plan are both probably, Ryan, right?
both. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say both are living things. We're always learning, we're always adapting, things are changing around us, and we're making sure that both are adjusted to our learning.
So
Okay.
Ryan, would you recommend that we share all our release plans with our stakeholders? Or maybe you got a
It
different.
depends on the stakeholder. So yeah, so it depends on the stakeholder. I would say certainly, like our engineering and development team, they use the release plans to guide work. That's probably the main one that we're interested in. Other teams, especially like sales or marketing teams, need to see release plans to know what to promote and sell and generate excitement and awareness around. Certain other stakeholders that will touch new product releases, like operations or DevOps or other things like that, will be interested in release plans as well. But this is where they work better together, where you can both communicate your strategy with your roadmap and then still make your release plan a part of the conversation. So you're showing them how strategy connects to delivery. All right. So Greg, I'm going to go back to your question. If we have not validated or done discovery on an outcome in the next phase, can you really do a release plan? So we're actually building two different things as we do discovery. and how it comes together. The first thing we are building in our release plan is our development backlog. Look at this. What are the features or initiatives for now that we're going to do? Next are the features or initiatives that maybe are out there. They're ideas. We need to validate them. Like they're a little more solidified, but not quite fully baked. We need maybe we have bigger picture things like initiatives that we need to explore. Like, wow, there are some new technologies coming. There are some things that are happening. What do we need to be looking at? And that's later. So as a product person, we don't just manage a development backlog. We have a discovery backlog too. So we've got two things. How do these things relate? So now I have an outlet to organize my discovery backlog. So the things I am discovering in the now, look at this, the assumptions that I might have to test to move my next items to now. Here, I'm just going to fill it out. Look at this. Things connect. Everything's connected. So you've got the assumptions to test to move next items to now, the assumptions to test to move later items to next, and the opportunities to explore to continue populating later. So you are putting your plan together of what discovery should be happening, Greg. So to answer your question, if you haven't done validated or done discovery on an outcome in the next phase, can you really do a release plan? So you can, but it better include that discovery that you need to do. So that's my answer. Make sure you're tracking those research efforts because it's important. And that's how we add value back to the business, by validating the things that we should do or picking the things that we should build. What
Hey,
do you
Ryan,
think?
do we have a sense on what overall time frame now, next, and later occupy?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I always give this advice. Kenny, I'd be interested in your advice as well. So now, next, and later, I prefer to look at it in terms of development cycle. So if you're, for example, like a very fast, nimble, agile software company, you might include your now might be the next couple few sprints. You know you're going to be doing these, like sprint 2 or 3, maybe. Next would be the ones that come after that. Later would be the ones after that. For organizations like I've been a part of that are very hardware driven, our development cycles are very long. So they're 18, 24 months in some cases. So the now might include some of the things that are active. That's what I would put in there in the now column. Active development. And my release plan would be these are coming, and I would still provide commitments to, I expect it to be ready in like this quarter and things like that. Next would be the things in my I call it an ideas list, but it was my discovery backlog. The things that we're still validating, because it's longer, I don't have as many concrete outputs there yet, but I needed to do lots of discovery to make sure the investments we were making were the right investments to make, and the same for the later. So it depends on your development cycles and things like that. So you pick the time frame that works best for your situation or context.
I found it also depends on the industry you're in. I mean, it depends
That's
on
true.
the pace of change in the industry,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're in an industry where pace of change is happening rapidly and the world looks completely different a year from now than it does today, then you're going to compress some of these now, next, later timeframes, because you're gonna, later may be a year out, right?
Right.
Because you can't, because the
Could
world's
be.
going to change that fast for you. I worked in other industries where pace of change in the industry is a lot slower, right? Things are more stable for a longer term, and people are making investments for 5, 10 years down the line, right? Because the world isn't going to change fundamentally in that industry. They are my later time frames, maybe 5 to 10 years, right? And my now
Right.
might be up to a year or a year and a half, because again, because things aren't changing. I have a firm set of commitments that I can make that aren't going to alter in the next 12 to 18 months. That may fit. So it's going to depend, and you're going to have to figure it out for your specific business, for your specific company, and for the
Right.
industry based on those.
Absolutely. So there might be a little bit of trial and error as you look at that, but look at all of these kind of contextual aspects that we're talking about. That'll help you set what would now, next, and later mean for me, and you can pick those. All right, so let's bring it back because it all comes down to stakeholders, Kenny. People are going to ask us, they're going to continue asking us for dates and things like that. So as we put this together, how do we respond? Like, what's the right thing to do? So the first one here is, hey, we have an industry event next quarter. Which new feature will be ready to showcase? So let's think about it. Would that be a roadmap or a release plan?
Well, it looks like it's short term, right? They want to figure out what's going on for the next quarter,
Yeah.
right?
So that's a release plan.
There you
Short
go.
term, tell me what's coming. All right, the next one. One of our big clients is asking to see our long-term vision for integrating AI into our products. Maybe some of you have had that conversation recently.
What do people
So that
think?
one's a roadmap,
Ether.
Kenny.
There you go.
Yeah,
Roadmap. Yeah, I think
longer
you're right.
term. Yeah, so look at that. So we want to see the bigger picture there. So next one, when will we next update, or when will the next update be rolled out to address any known bugs? And that one is, of course, a release plan. That's what we're looking for. Like, what are the things that are coming? Now, the last one of my favorites. A leader approaches you and says, we need to know how the new product features align with your strategic business goals. Can you present an overview, please? Ah,
You might
okay.
need multiple things to show this person,
Oh, you might. You just might, Kenny, because that's the answer. It's both. Show them
huh?
both. Because look at that. We want to see how the outputs connect to the outcomes and bring both to the table and say, look at this. I can tell you a story of how all this comes together. Um, so so let's find out now our final poll. If we don't mind, we can open this up. And I want to know how you will incorporate outcomes into your existing roadmap, because I think this is an important point, Kenny. Just because you're
Yeah.
not doing outcome-based roadmaps today doesn't mean you can start including outcomes into your existing roadmap. You can start doing it. Not to this degree, perhaps, but start warming stakeholders up to the idea.
So, I mean, one of the things that we're really driving for folks here is we're adding something for them. Because most people are creating a release plan in some way, shape, or form, where they're using AHA or they're using some other tool to create that release plan. What's really missing is they actually aren't creating roadmaps today. And so
Right.
what we're injecting and infusing and asking people to start thinking about is don't necessarily get rid of what you're calling a roadmap today, which is really a release plan. You need to have those. You need to drive the work. You need to make things happen. We're asking you to start to think about what's the strategic ideas that are driving that release plan and start to create a roadmap for the first time.
Yeah. So whether you're using AHA, Product Board, RoadMonk, Craft.io, any of them, Jira, and it outputs something that looks very time-based. Like Kenny is saying, find those opportunities to put the outcomes into the conversation. Because remember, we can use our roadmap to start that conversation, and let's make sure those things are included.
So what will happen is you'll wind up with better release plans because they're actually driven by the strategy and what you want to achieve for your business and for your customers.
Right. Absolutely right. So let's see.
Yeah, so looks like a lot of people have answered, and it looks like this now, next, later concept is a new thing for folks that they want to put into their roadmaps, and going from this notion of just creating deadlines to actually think about the impact of those deadlines and the results that they're getting there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. So should we close this, Kenny? What do you think?
Yeah, let's close it and
All
share it.
right.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Look at this.
So it's
So
2 and 4 that are big
introducing,
ones.
yeah, the now, next, later, and then we've got the shifting the conversation from deadlines to results. I think I that all of them have gotten an answer, which is pretty cool. Prioritizing outcome first, aligning efforts to business outcomes, and measuring success based upon an outcome. Good. All right. So Kenny, I think we're ready for some Q&A. What do you think?
Good, yeah. And there's one that people want to move to the top of our queue here, which is how do we move things in this strategic outcome focused direction when we have tools like AHA and Jira pushing us toward time-based roadmaps?
Okay. So how can we move things in the strategic outcome focused direction? So this is where I think it is up to us. We have to take the initiative to define what those outcomes are. Number one, we have to define them. The business outcome and the product outcome, the things our customers want to achieve. We need to make those outcomes part of the strategic conversation. So whether they are expressed directly on the roadmap, and if you're using something like AHA or Jira, it might not be. we need to bring it into the conversation. We should always start there. That's the first thing we should say. Like, think about it this way. Always ask the question when you're looking at your roadmap or your release plan, why are we doing what we're doing? What is the result we're trying to achieve? And if we can start to articulate that, we're in a better position than we were before. So I think that's the simplest path for us to include this into our regular day-to-day practice of roadmaps.
Yeah.
Do you have any
I think
opinions on that, Kenny?
no, I think it's right. I mean, one of the great and horrible things about things like AHA and JIRA and those kind of things is they do tend to confuse these terms, and we may need to infuse a new construct into some of these that is sort of that strategic view of a roadmap, and make sure that underpins some of the actual release plans and the actual activities that we're doing within any of these tools.
Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing something cool here. I just want to call this out. James, I'm going to issue you a big thank you. You have summarized our webinar for us. This is fantastic. So he's got the full summary
He
here.
used Otter. He used
Otter
Otter
AI.
AI.
I love it. So this is good. All right. So Kenny, are there other questions in QA that you think?
Yeah, there's another question that just came up with it that we have is, where does prioritization fit into this? And should we prioritize the product outcomes or the features within this now, next, later, or do we prioritize both?
Oh, okay. So the answer is yes, absolutely. You are always prioritizing outcomes. Outcomes, think about them this way. So you want to prioritize the outcomes that are both very strategically aligned to your business outcome. Remember that connection we talked about? Product outcome, business outcome must be connected. Find those product outcomes that have the strongest connection to your business outcome. That's how you prioritize product outcomes. You also prioritize business outcomes by having conversations with leaders at your company. You want to find out what's important to them. What does the business want to achieve? And you'll understand very clearly what's important, what can I impact? That's how you'll select the business outcome. And then your product outcomes, you will start to define and refine. You'll understand your customers well. You'll start to have more confidence in this is the thing they want to achieve. Understanding then this connects best to my business outcome to get us moving in that direction, and even maybe what's feasible. I know many of us, maybe some of us here are interested or not interested, but working in highly regulated industries. Sometimes you'll find product outcomes that you just simply don't have influence over. So you've got to consider the feasibility of some of them too, and that might impact your prioritization decision. But definitely prioritize outcomes first. And that's going to help you then make better decisions about the features you prioritize too.
I think understanding the outcomes and having an understanding of the priority of those outcomes helps us do a better job of prioritizing the actual features and the outputs in the release plan.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's kind of why they work so well together, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have one last question that came from this one, a little more specific. This was someone who's working for an agency
Okay.
that does work with clients that have their own products, and they feel sort of trapped in this hours deadline logic because it determines price in their clients. So what do you think that this little agency should do?
Ooh, interesting. So let's see. This one, we might need a little more context to get the answer well, but I'm going to try. So if we've got a little agency and I shouldn't call it little. You haven't described yourself as little.
Might be a big agency.
It could be a big agency. There's an agency who's doing work for clients who have their own products, and you're stuck in this like deadline trap the release plan trap or output trap. And as you're looking things, rather than maybe define the work based upon the things that you plan to deliver, like it'll be this many hours, it'll be this many artifacts delivered, all that stuff. Instead, define the outcomes up front with your clients. What are the things you want to do by the end? Let's define what those outcomes are. And by having that understanding, the work that happens in between can be more fluid. So you can almost even organize the relationships you have with your client in a now, next, later format in that regard. We have high confidence. These are going to move the needle towards that outcome. Let's do those first. As we learn more and get more in, we can then start moving things from next to now and later to next and so on and so forth. So
I think what it does is you're going to wind up doing more discovery with your clients to figure out what their priorities are, what their roadmap looks like, and how your engagement with that client will work, and use that to drive the hours and the deadlines that actually happen in the release plan you're going to do with that client. So I think you'll have better discussions with your client as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kenny, I want to address something real quick. That we did have one question. Can you provide a link to some examples to see a true roadmap? We have some, and we can do you one better. If you're interested in the product side playbook, we have a whole template for you not only to see an example, but to fill it out. So we can make those resources available to you. But Kenny, I think now we've got a couple of things to mention before we say goodbye.
Yeah, why don't you do the yeah.
So, well, just a couple of things, everybody. I want to make you aware, if you have an AI PMM certification, you are a certified product manager, we encourage you to participate with us. We'd love to hear from you and your experience with that. So please come, click the link that we just put in our chat session and take the survey. It doesn't take very long to fill out, but it's just sharing your experience with us. We do our own discovery. This is an element of it. So please do participate. We've got a new self-study program that is out there. I know if you're interested in the topic of roadmaps or even just becoming a better product manager, you can take our self-study course anytime, anywhere. So check it out. We would encourage you to see how you can level up and invest in yourself from that regard. Speaking of investing in yourself, we've also got live online courses. When you get to see people like me and Kenny and go through the course that is instructor led, where it's very practical, and we do lots of application of things exactly like roadmaps and release plans. We show you how it all fits together. And then finally, we have
Go back to that one, Ryan.
Oh, yep.
If they use that QR code, they get a discount, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. How did I forget that? Absolutely. Use the code and get a discount. That's the big promo. So you can all get a discount. If you're interested in taking the course, check us out. Use the code ProdPlan250, and that will give you a $250 off your purchase of the course, which is great. And I've got one coming up in just a couple weeks. So if anyone's really interested, check it out. I'd love to see you. So you'd be a welcome addition to our cohort. And finally, we have part 3 of our webinar happening in a couple of weeks, where we are talking about prioritization and product planning. So I will be back. If you'd like to come hear part 3, please do join us. Register for that one now.
Right.
So that's all happening. All right. And that is it. Thank you all for being an awesome audience.
Yeah. As we mentioned at the beginning, the recording and the slides will be available. You should get an email if you attended this one, or just go visit productside.com to get your understanding.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, folks.